Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today's video is going to be a little bit different in terms of how I have this formatted. I actually had a different video planned for today, but I decided to scrap the footage as I was not really happy with the drawings, as well as I didn't finish the session because I just wasn't in a sketching mood. I was supposed to be drawing Diluc in his new skin and I wanted to do like a sketch page, but I didn't like any of the sketches. So I am doing this video instead, and it's really late. It's literally almost 4 a.m. for me right now. So you guys are going to see this like 5 hours when it goes up. But I wanted to take you guys along with how I usually plan out illustrations if I am either a bit lost or if I want to really flesh something out. So if you want to see a different video where I kind of done the process like this, you can find my video of where I drew Yoonjin, and I kind of went through a little bit more of like thumbnailing processing all the way up until I think sketching onto Clip Studio Paint as well as Paint Tool SI and getting actual like full render of that piece. So for this one I was kind of like in a rush, and I usually, or not usually, for this year's birthday illustrations that I do for 17, I kept them quite simple and I didn't really keep them with a specific theme this time. Besides that, I like drawing them with flowers, but I did miss Hoshi's birthday, drawing him with flowers and stuff. I kind of kept his simple, but because I was a little bit lost and a little stressed about too many deadlines and stuff, and the fact that I'm doing this last minute, I needed a place for me to kind of like mentally vomit all my ideas to see what I wanted to do and what would work and what wouldn't work. So earlier you saw me pull up Pinterest so I could look up flowers, which I decided to draw larkspurs because they are July's birth flower for the month, I guess, if that makes sense. And I often draw Wonwoo with these for like birthday illustrations. I'll pop like a few here just because the one that you see me sketching now, I've actually did a very similar concept. You'll see it right here. I've done it with watercolor, and I decided to abandon this idea even though like I was kind of thinking this is what I was gonna do. I decided to switch it up and change his kind of like portrait into more like a profile, and we could have him kind of like holding flowers or something. I initially was gonna make him hold flowers, but you're gonna see that I'm gonna change it. I decided to keep going smaller and smaller just because I needed to figure out how I wanted to do composition and framing. So sometimes I will do a box and put the figure inside of it, and sometimes I will do the opposite where I would actually draw the figure and what I want and then kind of draw a box around it to see if I can find a composition that fit it. So I decided to stick Wonwoo on the left side so that I could have more space on the right side for text and a little bit of like a background and just something a little bit less busy. So now we are going into Procreate. So before we go into more detail about the process and stuff, because you guys probably know from my previous videos and stuff how I usually draw and sketch, I am going to kick this into time-lapse. It's weird seeing me do this because I usually don't do this for iPad drawing, but for next week I want you guys to actually leave me questions in the comments this week so I can do a Q&A for, I believe, Wednesday's video. So yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that that you would like me to answer, I will choose a few of them from the comments, as well as I'll make a community post for you guys to ask questions so I can answer them for Wednesday's video. But yeah, so just to give context for people who are not familiar with who I'm drawing, so I am a big fan of 17. So 17 is a K-pop group, a boy K-pop group, like a male one, and Wonwoo is technically my bias, like my favorite member. He's like my ultimate favorite, I guess, out of like all my biases and stuff. But every year I like doing a anniversary piece for their debut anniversary, and then I like doing birthday illustrations for each of the members' birthdays if I can. So this year, because I've been so busy, I've been trying to keep them a little bit more simple. And before I used to do like a lot of chibi work, and for I think the last few years, if not last 2 years, I've been doing more like portraiture and stuff, trying to get used to how I want to draw the boys in that kind of way. But because I've been so busy, I've been keeping them simplistic, and a lot of the ones that I drew I actually don't really like. So I wanted to spend some more time and kind of flesh out one for Wonwoo at least. Even though this is extremely last minute compared to the other ones. The other ones, like, I at least gave myself kind of 24 hours. This one I'm giving myself, let's see, I have to post it at like around 9 o'clock, I think, 8 or 9 o'clock, and I finished around 3 a.m. So yeah, I'm giving myself like a 6-hour window, which isn't great. And I'm editing this at 4 a.m. So that's what my life is right now. So yeah, you can see that I kind of changed up his pose a little bit. So I kept the angle of his face, and I wanted to make sure that his face was still in profile, but I decided to not make his hand grip any flowers. I kind of just wanted him to be like cupping the air in a sense. I don't know why I changed it last minute. I also was trying to see if I could fix the canvas size, because I was debating whether or not I wanted to have the composition to be a lot longer so that I could have more space on the right side, because I wanted to add all the larkspurs on the right side in a certain way, but in the end I decided to keep it a little bit more minimal, kind of keep only, I think, 4 larkspurs are present technically, like that are in focus, and then I'll put like an extra one on the left side just to kind of keep it balanced in terms of color. Yeah, I decided to use several layers for sketching. Usually I sketch on one layer just because it's much quicker and faster for me, but I wanted things to be accurate and to make it easier for myself before I color. So I did some of the larkspurs in the background on a layer under my sketch of Wonwoo, and then I had, I think, the petals on a separate layer as well as Wonwoo on a separate layer. So basically I had 3 sketch layers before I go into coloring, and it kind of made it easier, and it made it easier for me to at least like shuffle things around if I needed to. I think you saw me several times like shift or resize the larkspurs that are on his right. They kind of fit behind him. So I don't know why I slowed this down. I guess I was just showing you guys what my layer situation is looking like, because usually in my other videos you would see that most of my sketches usually just on one layer and then I can start coloring. But you can see I'm taking my time with the sketch by allowing myself to use several layers and erasing anything so that I could keep things looking fairly clean. I decided to change the sketch color to be a little bit more of an appropriate softer color, and then I forgot to switch it to multiply, but usually I was like switch it to multiply and then I will add background colors so we can kind of get the atmosphere or the mood, as well as like the hue and just like values and stuff. Kind of sets the mood or like the color palette for your entire piece. So I like to do the background first. And because these flowers are in the background, I wanted to color them first. And I think that at this point, this is when I realized that I didn't set it to multiply. So I like to set my sketch to multiply usually before I color, at some point, basically, before I merge the layers, just to allow myself to have the sketch lines change with the colors that are underneath. So when multiply is like applied, it kind of changes along with it, with whatever is underneath, because it almost has like a transparency, but it also makes things a little bit more saturated and darker. So usually when I change the sketch lines, I make it a much more brighter and like a softer color, because I know it will turn a bit darker depending on whatever color I put underneath. So I just kind of use that to my advantage so that I can make sure that the colors of the lines are a little bit more appropriately fitting before, or not before, so that it just makes it a lot easier. So I don't have to worry about making all the lines like separately, like, you know, coloring the skin maybe like a dark brown, or the hair like black if his hair is like more of a darker color, just to make things stand out. I can just focus on coloring and not worry about the sketch lines too much. But usually at the end anyways, I will end up locking the layer, like alpha locking the layer, and then going over to make sure that the colors fit even more appropriately, I guess. So I decided to start with the flowers in the back. So in my brain, I was actually thinking that I was going to blur these flowers, but I decided that I didn't want to, because I think you saw that I duplicated these flowers. I made them a little bit larger. I also, I think, dimmed them in the back, and then I used Gaussian blur to make them blurry, so it just has a little bit more depth. But because I did that, I didn't want these ones to be blurry as well. I wanted these ones to be in focus with Wonwoo, so I decided to take my time and actually render it. But yeah, I don't even know if this video is going to be that beneficial for a lot of people, just because my plan was to do another, not like a start to finish, showing like my whole process from sketch to like final basically, but I wanted to do it more like with like real-time talking. But just because like the timing of this, it would have been too difficult for me to squeeze this video in along with making the illustration and editing it all down. So this is like kind of like an in-between of what I would wanted to have shown you guys. I'll definitely do a little bit more, maybe like an in-depth way, because in high school up until I think I graduated from uni, I always had to do thumbnailing. So in high school we always had to do a minimum of 3 thumbnails per piece, and then in uni I think it's usually as many thumbnails as you need to get to your final. And some people do like their thumbnails super detailed. I think in the past, like I showed some of those ones before where I would take time and actually plan out color palettes. I'll use watercolor to help me plan out like just the color palette in general. Maybe you can look at like lighting situations and stuff even before I even start coloring or even sketching the actual final piece, and it usually helps a lot, but I don't always follow them, and I think that's another thing. The more time I spend on the thumbnailing process and like the preliminary sketches and stuff, then most likely I will follow through because I'm more comfortable with the like the composition or the figure or how I want things to work out. But like this one where I kind of just took about maybe 10 minutes to scribble down stuff in my sketchbook, I didn't really follow it to a T. You can see that halfway through I changed my sketch, and then when I started doing the actual digital drawing, I changed the hands and I kind of changed the I don't know, I had a different vibe in my brain. I was gonna make this all soft and pastel, which I didn't do in the end. It's much softer than what I would usually do, I think, because usually I would have like higher contrast. I like having darker colors for the shadows and kind of pushing the highlights and stuff to be very bright. Like I like adding rim lighting, I like adding, I don't know, it's like a lot more contrast, I guess, and very vibrant colors. This one's a little bit more subdued, a little bit. And I will add a little bit of lighting to his hair and his face, but I keep it a little bit more minimal compared to what I've done before. So I'm coloring Wonwoo right now. I usually color the skin, and then I will lock the skin layer, add all the necessary shadows, and then I will unlock it and then do the hair, and then do the clothing. So I noticed that Wonwoo's, I believe is like his right arm. I guess it's his left hand technically. His left, but on the canvas it's technically the right hand. His arm is like oddly placed, so during the rendering and the cleaning up part I actually decided to budget so that it's actually a little bit more forward rather than like so tight towards his body. Also, I didn't talk about why I drew Wonwoo like this. The reason why I didn't want to do the front facing pose, like I said, I didn't want it to resemble the one that I've done in the past, like the watercolor portrait ones that I've done already, because I've already done like portraits of him face forward with larkspurs behind him, as well as like larkspurs coming from an open book. Wonwoo is like, he's a reader, like he likes reading, he likes learning about information and stuff, like new things. Also flowers. At some point he was interested in learning the meaning of flowers so that he would know what flowers carrots were giving him at fan signings and stuff, and I thought it was really cute. So I often draw Wonwoo with flowers. I haven't drawn Wonwoo in like a long time, which it feels like. I think it's because I've been burnt out of drawing 17 for a little bit, and it's mostly because I don't really like the way how I draw them. I still enjoy watching like other people draw them. I also like watching and listening to their music very, very much, and I still like them a lot, but I think it's just because I'm struggling with how I draw them, because before I would draw them like in my chibi style all the time. Like that's how I usually depict them, and that's how I was known for 17 fan art, because there wasn't that many 17 fan artists at that time. But as soon as I did a switch, like I can feel like my motivation's going down, and I think it's also because like the amount of time I spend making one piece is a lot longer compared to before. Before I would like pump out drawings so often that I would be like what I would consider like in air quotes on time. So I think that's like something I struggle with. I want to make fan art of things that are relevant in terms of, I guess like for 17, like if an event happens, I want to draw fan art of it. If a concert happens, like I want to draw fan art of it. But then I become so busy and bogged down by other things that sometimes I miss like that 1 week window, or even just like a few days. I feel like, oh, I'm too late. People don't care kind of thing. And I kind of miss just drawing them for fun. Yeah, so maybe I'll just do a like bit of doodling here and there and not post it. I don't know. I need to find like a freer way of making myself not feel too pressured. But yeah, like I said, the way how I approached this drawing process compared to my Yoonjin one is a little bit different. So Yoonjin, I think I did like 4 thumbnails, and then I did a bigger one just so I could plan out how I wanted to position her compared to like the food stalls and stuff. But for this one, I literally had no like strict idea, no proper idea I guess of how I wanted to draw him. So I just did quick search on Pinterest for larkspurs so I could get a little bit of kind of like my hand moving on the page. So I did like the 2 little flower sketches, and then I was searching up Wonwoo pictures because I was gonna draw him in a more iconic look, like things that are very recognizably Wonwoo. But I decided to not do that. Like I threw that out of the window. Like I even wrote down the day that I was looking at the fan signing, but no, I decided to throw that out of the window. I decided to keep it simple. I think if you're a fan of 17, hopefully this looks like Wonwoo just based on like aesthetic, I guess. Glasses, darker hair, kind of more formal casual clothes, if that makes sense. Also sweater paws, that kind of situation. I associate Wonwoo with like a lot of darker colors usually, so I placed him in navy. And I actually forgot about this. The color scheme that I actually used it a lot in a Wonwoo fanzine that I did, and I usually use like a very pale background, and I did like very soft blues, pinks, and purples in the background, and then I tried to make everything look soft, which I wanted to go for this one as well, but I don't think it really worked out. But yeah, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you guys have any questions for me, please leave them in the comments, and hopefully on Wednesday's video I'll answer like a few of them. I will definitely answer obviously the basic questions. Like I just want to do like a Q&A and kind of like an update that I do every year around July. So it's kind of like when I do Procreate tour in October. And I wanted to do an update about that too. Maybe I'll do that for Saturday's video, because Saturday I would like to make a video regarding kind of like my desk setup in a way. Not like entirely my desk. I want to specifically go into like, because I've been getting a lot more questions recently on how I film the videos and stuff, and a lot of people don't know that I use a webcam. I know a lot of people think you need to use like an actual camera and stuff, but I know a lot of people who use their phones or just webcams and stuff, and you just need like some kind of a mic to film and to record voiceover or any commentary and stuff that you guys need. But yeah, I will go through that I think on Saturday, and then Q&A on Wednesday. I'm slowly losing my mind. I have like a camping trip at the end of July, and then I have Anime Fawn at the beginning of August, so I'm feeling the pressure. I'm feeling the heat at the moment. But for drawing wise, yeah, here is like where I was adjusting the arms a bit. I had the back arm and then his front arm. I also have the petals so that we could create more depth by having the petals be a little bit blurred and a little bit of movement. And then I've been doing this a lot recently where I would duplicate the whole piece, and then I would use Gaussian blur over the new version, and then I would slowly erase the blurred version so we can keep stuff in focus but have the overall composition look softer around the edges. I just really like that look and I've been doing it a lot, so yeah, it's probably just a phase at this point. I'm just writing some text. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video and watching me struggle and listening to my 4 a.m. rambles, I guess. But yeah, I think one day I will revisit Diluc, like his new skin, and then we can actually do another like sketching session or something, or I'll do like a full illustration of it. Who knows? Who knows? Because yeah, once I did Fischl's, I was happy with it, and then I really do like Diluc's outfit, but I'm noticing that yeah, I was struggling to draw Diluc, so I definitely gave up drawing him. So I'll do that for another session is what I'm trying to say before my brain's like beginning to shut down. But yeah, I'm just playing around with the text, trying to figure out how things would work out. And I think that's pretty much it after the text. I think the text is the last part of the video. But yeah, here you guys can see the kind of what I wanted to for the composition. I have the text on the right, and you can kind of see my thought process till the finished piece. So yeah, if you guys are struggling, try thumbnailing or just doodling and scribbling out your ideas that you have in your brain, so that when you start to work on a final piece, maybe it'll help you eliminate some of the ideas that you don't want to tackle, or ideas that you would like to flesh out more. I think it's a good way. Also, it's like if you want to look back at your old pieces, you can, and find new ideas and stuff. Yeah, but I'll talk to you guys next time in the next video. Bye!